everyone. Thanks for your time today and welcome to the Co-Innovating with LiveTiles Customer session. My name is Erin Stearns. I am the Vice President of Sales.
Hi everybody, thank you very much for taking the time to join us today. I'm David Salter and I'm Director of Technology Solutions.
These are unusual, unprecedented times in life and in business, and have strangely become our new normal. So today we wanted to focus on showcasing a few of LiveTiles customers that have been able to stand strong during the times based on digital transformation work we've done together prior to COVID-19, as well as those customers we've co-innovated with during this time, so that they were able to recognize the need to pivot digitally to solve for challenges that they're facing today while setting themselves up for tomorrow and in the years to come.
I'm sure as you can relate to, Erin and I work with prospects and with clients who are of all different sizes in a variety of different industries. One thing that is common is that, or I should rather say not common, is different levels of digital maturity, and ultimately it are those levels of maturity that dictate how we co-innovate together with a client and how we deliver the end solution.
So kicking us off today, Dave's going to start off with sharing a story about a health organization. Dave, can you share with us what the problem was the customer was looking to solve for and how we helped work with them?
Sure can, Erin. Now, this is, I think, a really interesting one to talk about because while the media at the moment has begun to talk a little bit less about COVID-19 and focus on other things, it's still very much relevant for health services. But if we go back to March, when this really became an issue in the United States and more broadly around the world, you can imagine that health services were becoming very, very overwhelmed with inquiries from concerned people. And so in this case, we had a health service whose contact centre was overwhelmed with client queries in the middle of March and onwards. And moreover, one of the other problems that they faced was that in responding to the queries of patients, the guidelines that they were supposed to be following, both from their internal procedures and the external recommendations from organisations like the CDC and the World Health Organization, were constantly changing. And so what they needed was a way to respond through technology to lower the burden on their contact centre, but also with tooling that would allow them to rapidly update those guidelines. So the approach that we took was to develop a chatbot that would act as a digital triage assistant. So patients were directed, patients I should say, with COVID-19 specific queries were directed from the call centre to the public website of this particular health service. And on that website, they were able to use a chatbot or an assistant who would guide them through a very simple and intuitive series of steps using what we call adaptive cards as prompts to reach a decision on how they, as an individual, should respond to their particular circumstances. Not only was this something that we were able to put together in a matter of days, given the urgency of the situation, it was something that very much delivered very tangible benefits to the contact centre staff. They were no longer overwhelmed with such a large number of queries because people were using the website and finding the digital assistant very useful. And of course, you know, one of the things that we all know is that when you come into contact with an organisation, often your first experience is the one through which you form a broader set of views about that organisation. And with people not having to wait so long online and being able to get to relevant information quickly through the website and the bot, they were able to reduce contact centre wait times for the general workflow, which obviously seeks to improve a patient's first experience with the health service. Erin, I understand that we are doing some very exciting work with an NFL team at the moment. You able to tell us a little bit about that?
So this just happens to be my favorite NFL team on top of that. So this customer had hired a consulting firm over 7 years ago to custom build their intranet, which had become a very stale place, a stale repository, difficult to navigate, expensive to manage, and hard to pivot to align with their business. They had a dependency on this consulting firm if they wanted to make any changes to it. So most of their internal comms was being managed through good old-fashioned email, and their intranet user engagement was waning pretty quickly. So they started talking to us actually at the sort of onset of COVID. They decided to take advantage of this time when the NFL was on hiatus. They needed a complete overhaul of their current intranet, focusing on features like announcement and news, events and event calendar, a clean, intuitive user interface, a real focus on business continuity, a place where we could spotlight their employees, employee perks program section, social media feed, an HR section, et cetera, with a real tie back to their employee directory, which was an Active Directory. So we wanted to give them everything that they were looking to solve for. So we built the solution on our LiveTiles design platform with LiveTiles everywhere and our employee directory incorporated. The business benefit to this NFL team was that they were moving to SharePoint Online. They were in Office 365. They wanted to take advantage of this time during COVID, like I said, when the football season was on hiatus. So they wanted to take this time to build a really solid foundation and to move to a platform that could maximize their investment in Microsoft Office 365. Also, they wanted to feel empowered and empower their business units to be able to manage their own content, and then create a central collaboration site that could connect to their over 1,700 employees with eventual extension out to their 500 plus external contractors. So they chose to go with LiveTiles. We worked very closely together. They did a very in-depth due diligence, and they chose our Intelligent Experience platform because it gave them a clean and modern UI with the power and ability to easily manage their content, empower their business units, and integrate with other third-party applications. We also are really working on automating workflows to drive productivity throughout their organization. So LiveTiles is able to provide them with a very solid foundation for which they can build upon, like down the road, adding LiveTiles bot technology to drive their business continuity and employee engagement and keep things fresh. So together, we put the control back in the hands of their business, I think really for the first time, allowing for rapid iteration according to their changing needs for the years to come. So now they are very strategically positioned to be able to service not just their internal employees, but to their customers in the future as well. So it was really smart of them to make this move during a time, which was very, very business unusual. Dave?
Thanks, Erin. I'm now going to continue on the theme of some very practical solutions that we have done for organisations in healthcare. And in this case, using our LiveTiles Quantum application, we have built a clinical expertise directory. This particular health service specialises in mental health services, but mental health services aren't so generic. There's obviously many different types of expertise that are needed, many different care pathways that a patient would go through. Now, the problem that this organisation is trying to solve, or was trying to solve with a technology approach, is that referrals would come in from referring doctors or other health services, and the receiving clinical scheduling staff were often unaware of, for a particular patient coming in with a particular set of needs, who the correct physician for that particular case was. So what that would result in is errors in scheduling, and those errors in scheduling obviously took time to correct and can lead to a certain amount of patient frustration. As I touched on earlier, we all understand the importance of a positive first interaction with an organisation. So the approach that we took was very much to utilise their existing investment in the Microsoft 365 platform and to provide the clinical scheduling staff with access to a very specialised expertise directory through their corporate intranet. That solution obviously simplified the way that they could search for very niche or particular sets of expertise in the field of mental health. But importantly, from a data flow perspective, this integrates not just with their Microsoft 365 data coming from Active Directory as a source of truth about a clinician, but it also interacts with other sources of data about a physician, and that can be the HR system where all employee data is stored. And because this is a health service and they have particular needs around clinical credentialing, where physicians are credentialed for particular procedures and for the ability to provide particular services, we are also able to connect using LiveTiles Quantum and its API capacities to those other sources of information to create a very unified view of a physician within this organisation. And that obviously allows, in this particular use case, a very seamless and an easy experience for the scheduling staff to use. So in summary, the benefits here, there's obviously a significant reduction now in the number of scheduling errors that obviously take time and effort to correct. And you simply have an improved patient experience with their first point of contact with the organisation. Erin, we are working with a large logistics firm, and I'd like you to tell us a little bit about what they're doing.
Yeah, this is actually a pretty cool story because I think it really demonstrates working with clients in the form of partnering with clients. So this was a company that I came across about 3 years ago when I first came on board at LiveTiles. They signed up with us with our original LiveTiles design platform upon which they built their intranet. We continued to partner with them over the course of the last 3 years. We've added features and functionality to enhance their intelligent experience platform by adding things like the employee directory, for instance. When COVID-19 hit, the customer selected Teams internally as their standard organization's collaboration tool and workspace. But they had zero governance or rules of engagement, and they really needed help. And they really didn't know where to turn to because they didn't necessarily know how to quantify what that help really looked like. They needed to have an extension to their existing IT force, but around strategy services as well as technical services. So in true partnership, and I think this really speaks to the relationship that we have with our clients, they called us first just to talk through their challenges. And even though they weren't 100% sure of what they needed, they wanted to see if we could help them, and we could. So our solution really was a methodical approach to focus truly on user adoption and working our way to launching the team formally, the Teams application within Microsoft Office 365, as well as training for employees inside the organization with a proper governance strategy with our Wisdom for Teams as sort of the underpinning, which is our LiveTiles Everywhere product. The business benefit to this company was defining how Teams, Microsoft Teams, will be used as a communication and collaboration tool to meet their broader business objectives and how it interoperates with their current intranet, which was also on LiveTiles, with a plan for user adoption with intuitive UI using LiveTiles Everywhere. So we were able to launch quickly using our Teams planning tool and putting a proper governance plan in place, which will now save on rework, data content sprawl, and headaches later on, which ensures you're maximizing your investment as a company. So as a collective team, being the client's team and our team, we work in tandem for the rollout and beyond so that there is knowledge transfer happening at all points and support along the way during the rollout as well as after the rollout. So it saves valuable IT support assets for their core business systems. We leveraged our LiveTiles Vibe product to gauge user adoption and allow for internal feedback loop where employees' voices can be heard based on how they're feeling about new tools being introduced, for instance. So together we work to meet the customer where they were at, and we'll continue to be with them on this journey, being flexible to provide burst capability to their existing IT team and incorporating true strategy services to satisfy their HR and executive sponsorship of this project. So this was one of my favorite ones because I love clients that we continually work with over the years.
Thanks, Erin.
So Dave.
Yes, the next one I'd like to talk about, I think it's actually a very simple use case, but it always does surprise me, Erin, how many organisations that we work with are still struggling with some of the basics, like, you know, the best way to share files in a way that isn't going to lead to lots of emails and duplication and version control problems. So in this instance, we were working with a company that does construction management and project management services for a very large set of household American chain brands across, you know, retail and food, etc. In this case, the challenge was how to better manage the design documentation that is essential to a very predictable, repeatable, scalable delivery of these store fit-outs and other elements of the construction process. The design documentation was being shared via email or through an outdated and quite poorly designed portal. So using one of the Microsoft Azure-based modules that falls under our LiveTiles Intranet set of tools, we were able to deliver a design extranet, and it has all the you know, the features that you would expect as it relates to document management. So easy sharing, version control, etc. In terms of the solution approach, it wasn't, as with all technology projects, it isn't just about the technology itself. It's often very much about, you know, information architecture and making sure that you build something that reflects the way that people understand information. And so what we also did was a bit of an information architecture redesign to reflect the way that design documentation categorization had changed through time. From a technical perspective, it's an Azure hosted extranet, and it also includes support for B2C identity management with third-party contractors who you can imagine are very much a part of this process. From a benefits perspective, quite predictable, but very, very powerful. A big reduction in the number of version control issues that the organisation was experiencing, and a big improvement in the satisfaction of the people that were having to interact with the documentation in terms of how easy it was to access, how confident they were in the currency and the accuracy of the information that they were working with. And importantly for this client, one of the things that I'm very proud of is that it has actually developed a new standard way that they will likely go to business with other clients, not just the original client that this project was implemented for, but a series of other clients who have similar needs. They will be able to take this as somewhat of a template, adapt it to the use case, and reuse it in a very, very scalable and efficient way. So, Erin, a very interesting use case there in the construction management industry. Erin, we've done some really fantastic work with a large media organisation in the last few years around campaign process management. Can you tell us a little bit about that one?
Yeah, there was no real consistent approach to digital media campaign management within this global media company. It was inefficient with duplication of effort through a lack of reusable assets. So our solution was taking Microsoft Office 365 and building out an intranet-based solution that really helped guide them and the digital marketers in particular through a standardization process. So we started off by doing a few things, centralizing storage and categorization of assets for efficient reuse across all clients. So that really helped drive efficiency. And driving efficiency ultimately impacts the bottom line in a very positive way. The business benefits was really improving the efficiency within the campaign management itself, which was the problem that they were trying to solve. I often say we shouldn't be selling a client a motorcycle or a car if they're looking for a bicycle. And the great thing about LiveTiles is you can look at us like Lego blocks. If you're trying to solve a particular problem, we most likely have the solution for you as part of the underpinning of the intelligent experience platform. But the nice thing is that your investment's safe for the future because you can build on that with other features and functionalities underneath the umbrella of the LiveTiles Intelligent Experience platform to be able to take you now and into the future. So they drove higher margins on fixed price client projects through a reuse of those assets. We'll continue to work with them over the upcoming year, and we'll certainly be building on the solution so that we can continue to help them move into the future and stay very competitive in their market.
Fantastic. Thanks, Erin. Folks, this has just been a very, very small selection of case studies that are at the top of our minds at the moment. There's obviously many, many more that we are able to share with you. So we do encourage at the end of this for you to be in touch with anyone from the LiveTiles team, but in particular, Erin and myself would very much welcome the opportunity to talk to you about any of the problems that you're looking to solve and how we may approach those. We're now going to pause for some Q&A, Erin, and we encourage everyone on the webinar today to ask us absolutely any question about some of the case studies that were just presented in the last few moments. So we'll pause for that now, Erin.
Yeah, so feel free to drop your question into the chat in this session, and we're here to help you so we can answer any questions that you have. I think the key thing to take away from this is, I know it's a couple hours that you're going to be listening to about LiveTiles. I'd say that we've got thousands of different scenarios that are helping our clients. So please feel free to drop us an email or give us a call, and Dave or I or somebody else on our team is going to be happy to help walk through what you're trying to solve for and map back to how we might be able to possibly help you. So thanks for your time, everyone.